Hi everyone, welcome to this week's YouTube video. I'm doing something just a little bit different today. I'm pulling out just a little bit from my course, Lead Me On. I'm praying through the promises and prayers of Psalm 143. And this one isn't in the course, but this painting had inspired the beginning of it. And I just wanted to introduce you to one of the ways I have loved incorporating creativity in art is by using it as the way I lean into scripture and to go really slow and deep through a focused portion of scripture. So in this case, Psalm 143. And so what I'm going to do now, this one, I'd actually taken a verse and the end of the psalm, I'm actually going to go ahead and paint a little bit from the beginning or the middle of the psalm, and using just a pretty limited palette to create a little bit more of a stormy scene. And I'm just going to start laying down, much like in the vein last week where we were doing a lot of a nice bold background. We're going to do a dark sky, and I'm going to use actually quite a bit of water. And I'm going to dip in some color here as well. But just laying in a dark sky, we're going to end up adding probably just a little bit of light. But starting out here, I am going to pull out in some Payne's Gray. And that's really going to help me pick up some of the darkness as well. And just laying in a little bit of Payne's Gray here. Pulling that up. And again, I'm wanting a loose sky. I'm going to add in just a little bit of sunlight to it. And I'm leaning, just creating that beautiful sense of clouds, of maybe even, I like to, if I can, create that sense of the movement of a storm passing through. Because so much of our lives and what Psalm 143 is dealing with is someone who's just going through a very intense season of storms, of darkness, of struggle. And he's not passively giving into this struggle, but he is realizing his own lack of help. And this is King David talking. He is really crying out to the Lord. And it's really an interesting psalm because David was such a fascinating character. He was a king, he was a warrior, he was a man of incredible strategy and cunning, and he was incredibly wise. And yet he was at a point in his life where he had realized he could not help himself any longer. He needed the Lord. And so the sky is just representative of that darkness and of the storm. So again, I'm kind of just going outlining, creating that sense of clouds. Then I'm going to come down here. I'm actually going to take this blue color and the path here. I am going to go ahead and outline my path in the blue, this dark blue. And we're just using a couple of colors. Actually, within the whole course of Lead Me On, I have a very limited palette, and I'm going to pull this in so you can see this a little bit better. We've got the mountains here, and I'm going to go ahead and start laying those in. One of the things I like to do when I am using painting, for example, to lean into like a Bible verse or helping me to memorize it or just contemplating and thinking about it more, is I want a subject matter that is not going to be require me a lot of thought process. So I am not going to, for example, I'm not going to work on a portrait while I am going through this, because that would require too much of my energy to focus on really considering the colors, the shapes, the shadows. So with mountains, I can do a lot, mountains and skies, and florals to a certain extent. I can do a lot of almost rhythmic painting, I call it, where you are just laying down colors. It's going to be beautiful, really, too, or really intriguing looking, no matter what, how it turns out. Like, it's hard to mess it up. And one of the reasons it's hard to mess it up is because of that limited color palette. I'm using colors that I know are going to look really good together. So I'm going to lay on a brown, for example, over the sap green. I'm using all really warm colors here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a darker brown, like a raw umber I really love. And some of the mountains in the back that are leaning right up to the sky, the one right here, I'm going to go ahead and just lay down a really dark brown, that raw umber, which I love this color. I don't use it tons, but when I use it, it's a very bold color. When I use it, it really kind of pops on the painting. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get a lot more water here because I want this to be nice and loose. And adding in that, see how dark that is? That's just beautiful. Now what I want to do is I want to actually grab some of that green again, and I'm going to put some green right down in here, We're creating a very dark mountain. So you have a dark sky, you've got these dark mountains, a sense of foreboding, kind of a sense of struggle even. And that's kind of, that's, I'm thinking about this particular verses that will coordinate with this, this scene here. So I'm not painting everything in either. In fact, I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow. And if I have either a cadmium yellow or a gamboge, I am just going to get some water in there and go ahead and add in a little bit of light, because part of this psalm, the beauty of it, is a prayer to the Lord. You know, David beseeches, he just calls out, Lord, for your name's sake, you know, for your righteousness. He continues to really appeal to God for help, not because of how wonderful David was, but because that God was God. He had promised to protect David, and David's really appealing to him on that behalf, because you said you would protect me, Lord, please help me. I need your help. And that sense, and so I like to include that light even when talking about some of the very darkest verses, because there is a thread of light and of hope throughout the entire psalm. So I've got that light, and you can even see on the painting that it really creates a different look, right? It creates a sense of reflection. I'm going to pull out some of that raw umber, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay that down here on the path, because there is a path in this psalm. There's a path from utter darkness, where David starts out in just utter despair, and then towards the end of the psalm where he's finding hope. The outcomes haven't changed, but he is changing, and he's getting back up, and he's getting back and engaged with the Lord, with life, with this challenges that he's facing. So we're going to add in some brown here. I'm going to put some layers down on this mountain, and you can see this really starting to pop and take shape. I had taken the micron pen and sketched out some just very dry brush. And so we're going to let that let that stay there. I'm going to put in some more green down here, a little bit more brown. Add in some more green. I just love that you can layer in and layer and layer and layer the colors, and it just adds to the beauty here. Now I'm going to take a look around here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some yellow, and then we're going to be done with this. And this is, again, they're very short exercises, maybe spending about 10 minutes. I would normally have the verse in front of me and just thinking on the verse as I paint it away here. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow in here, just a little bit, the sun just breaking through that storm. And if you feel, try not to touch the blue, right, because we don't want a green sky. And then I'm going to come back over here with the darker green, bring that up against my path. I'm going to actually pull in that blue a little bit too, and put a little bit of blue here, a little bit of blue right down here, and then up on this mountaintop as well. If you ever think, oh, that's just too much, I can make it more intense with this brown, which I'm going to do, or you could even blot it, and I'm going to go up this mountain as well. And then I am going to stop here, and I'm going to let the whole thing dry. And then what I'll probably come back and do is add in the Bible verse around it. Now, if you notice the paint moving away, you can just go over here and just eat it up, just like that. Okay, and right within 10 minutes, we have done a really gorgeous painting, and we're going to add that Bible verse in. And this is just one of the ways that I just lean in deeper to Psalm 143 at this period. So I'll include the link below if you want to try out a couple of sessions for free. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a wonderful time painting, and I will see you next week.